Did Natalia Grace's parents go to jail? What happened to the Barnetts? A new Hulu series dramatizing the saga of Natalia Grace has reignited public interest in one of the most contentious adoption cases in recent history. Good American Family stars Ellen Pompeo as Christine Barnett and revisits allegations that Natalia, an orphan from Ukraine with a rare form of dwarfism, was actually an adult masquerading as a child. Central to the narrative is whether her adoptive parents, Christine and Michael Barnett, who were charged with neglect, ever went to jail, and where they are now. What to know? Natalia Grace was born in 2003 and was adopted by Diane and Gary Saccone in 2008. She immigrated from Ukraine to New Hampshire, where the couple lived, but they relinquished their parental rights just 2 years later, citing her disruptive behavior, People reported. Natalia was adopted by the Barnetts in Indiana in 2010. She was believed to be around 6 or 7 years old. However, in 2012, the Barnetts successfully petitioned an Indiana court to change her birth year to 1989, reclassifying her legally as a 22-year-old. Time reported that the Barnetts claimed she displayed adult traits, including pubic hair, adult teeth, and menstruation, which they argued suggested she was not a child. Following the court-approved change in her legal age, the Barnetts placed Natalia in an apartment in Lafayette, Indiana, and moved to Canada with their biological children. They then cut off contact with her. Natalia later moved in with Cynthia and Antoine Mans, who eventually adopted her in 2023. However, by the end of that year, she left the Mans home, alleging they had become controlling and restricted her communication with others. Natalia now lives with the DePaul family in upstate New York. In the docuseries The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, Natalia speaks. She described her time with the Barnetts as abusive, including allegations that Christine Barnett pepper-sprayed her and hit her with a belt. "This is not easy. I had the same monster you did," Michael Barnett told Natalia in the show, referring to his ex-wife. How old was Natalia Grace when the Barnetts adopted her? According to her birth certificate, Natalia Grace was born in 2003, meaning she would have been around 6 or 7 years old when the Barnetts adopted her in 2010. Newsweek reported that hospital and dental records supported this estimate, with one dentist determining she was about 8 or 9 years old based on 2011 x-rays. However, in 2012, a judge approved the Barnetts' request to change her legal birth year to 1989. In 2023, a blood test confirmed that Natalia was approximately 22 years old, suggesting that she had been 9 when the Barnetts adopted her, according to People. "It just proves that I was not lying about my age," Natalia said on Natalia Speaks. "They ignored everything that was pointing to the truth just so they could create this stupid lie." Did Natalia Grace's parents, Christine and Michael Barnett, go to jail? Neither Michael nor Christine Barnett served jail time. Both were charged in 2019 with neglect of a dependent. Michael was found not guilty in 2022, and charges against Christine were dropped in 2023. In a deleted Facebook post, Christine Barnett wrote, "If there had been any abuse of Natalia or evidence of it, I would have been found guilty of it, and I would be in jail," People reported. She added, "I believe Natalia takes advantage of that sympathy to manipulate people." Where are the Barnetts now? In 2013, Christine published a memoir about her son, The Spark, a mother's story of nurturing, genius, and autism. In 2019, her address was listed in Florida, and she has largely remained out of the public eye. Michael Barnett filed for divorce in 2014. He appeared in The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, expressing remorse over his role in the events. During a conversation with Natalia, he said, "I beat myself up for not being stronger." Ellen Pompeo, who plays Christine Barnett, said on The View about starring in Good American Family. "The reason I decided to do it was I had a Zoom, almost like a 2 or 3 hour Zoom with Imogen Faith Reed, who plays our Natalia. She is fantastic, and it was her. Her conviction and her wanting to tell the story, and I have to say that it's her first lead role ever. Her first role, her first speaking role ever, which is a lot to take on. She's from the UK, she's not from here, and she came over, and it was important for her to tell this story." Imogen Faith Reed, who plays Natalia Grace on Good American Family, told Today.com, "Our show does a brilliant job of playing with multiple perspectives and creating our own versions of our characters. And you really have to watch it all to get the full picture of what's going on." The Hulu series Good American Family premiered on March 19, with new episodes airing weekly. Pompeo told People that the dramatization aims to present both perspectives in an intentional and thoughtful way. The story of Natalia Grace and the Barnetts is a bizarre, twisted tale that has fascinated the public and left many questions unanswered. Did Natalia's adoptive parents, Michael and Christine Barnett, go to jail? What really happened to them? To unravel this mystery, we must go back to where it all began. The adoption that took a strange turn. In 2010, Michael and Christine Barnett, an Indiana couple known for their involvement in raising a prodigious son, Jacob Barnett, adopted Natalia, a Ukrainian orphan with dwarfism. At the time, they believed she was around 6 years old. However, as time passed, Christine and Michael became convinced that Natalia was not a child at all, but a grown woman posing as one. According to the Barnetts, Natalia displayed disturbing behaviors. Christine alleged that Natalia threatened to kill her family, tried to poison her, and stood over their beds at night. They claimed she had periods, knew adult language, and exhibited behavior far beyond her supposed age. Then in 2012, the Barnetts took an extraordinary step. They petitioned a court to legally change Natalia's birth year from 2003 to 1989, effectively making her 22 years old. The court granted the request, officially re-aging Natalia, which led to one of the strangest adoption scandals in recent history. Abandonment or a fresh start. With Natalia now legally an adult, the Barnetts rented her an apartment in Lafayette, Indiana, and moved to Canada with their other children. They claimed Natalia was capable of living independently. However, authorities saw things differently. In 2019, years after the family had separated from Natalia, Michael and Christine Barnett were charged with neglect of a dependent. Prosecutors argued that regardless of her legal age change, Natalia was still a vulnerable person, and the Barnetts had abandoned her. Michael and Christine both pleaded not guilty. Their legal defense centered on the assertion that Natalia was not a child at the time of the abandonment, emphasizing the previous court ruling that legally made her an adult. Christine, in particular, became outspoken about her belief that Natalia was a scam artist pretending to be a young girl, much like the plot of the movie Orphan. The trial and legal outcomes. Michael Barnett's trial took place in 2022, and after lengthy proceedings, he was acquitted of all charges. The jury found that there was insufficient evidence to prove he had abandoned a dependent. Later, charges against Christine Barnett were also dropped. Despite the legal victory, their reputations were left in ruins. The media coverage had been intense, and public opinion was sharply divided. Some believed the Barnetts were victims of an elaborate con, while others saw them as cruel parents who discarded their child. Meanwhile, Natalia had a different story. In an interview, she insisted that she was indeed a child when she was adopted, and that the Barnetts' claims were completely false. She denied being a danger to the family and expressed pain over the entire ordeal. What happened to the Barnetts and Natalia Grace? Following the trial, the Barnetts largely disappeared from the public eye. Their once promising story of raising a child prodigy had been overshadowed by the bizarre and controversial Natalia Grace saga. Natalia, on the other hand, has been attempting to move forward with her life. She was taken in by another family, the man's family, who treated her as the child they believed her to be. Unlike the Barnetts, they expressed no fear of her and maintained that she was a loving young girl who had been wrongly accused. The mystery that remains. The story of Natalia Grace and the Barnetts leaves more questions than answers. Was Natalia really an adult masquerading as a child? Or was she a vulnerable orphan abandoned by the very people who promised to care for her? Despite the legal battles and media frenzy, the truth remains murky.